You know, this next game, Xevious, is a lot like Trog, in the way that its arcade game has a lot more information than its NES port. Except in this case, typing in Xevious NES on Wikipedia doesn't even give you any results, only taking you to the Xevious arcade page. And again, it doesn't get any better, because on the arcade page, all it does is actually tell you that the game exists, and literally no other information exists for the NES port of this game. So, what better game, if I turn down the volume, what better game to do for episode 2 of BrightNES, the show where I show some classic gems from the NES that didn't really get as much attention as they should. And this is Xevious. Xevious was created for the arcades in 1982, and is considered to be one of the first of its genre being the top-down shooter, which would then give birth to bullet hell games. Oh, listen to those sound effects, it's brilliant. From what I can tell, because, like I said, there's no information on the NES one, it was ported by Atari in 1988. I do know it was made by Bandai, at least the 1982 one. Pretty much, yeah. This is a... well, just look at it. Just listen to it. It's a really weird and fun game. Like Trog, it's more of a score attack game than a get to the end game. As you see with a lot of these arcade ports, which have been brought to the NES pretty much straight from the arcade and are not their own sort of thing. That's the sort of thing I used to play a lot as a kid on the NES. I'm now just starting to realize there's a lot of these score things that have come from arcade machines that I never even heard of as a kid. But I digress. Basically, I'm gonna just go over the enemies, because what you're seeing on screen, I can't add to that. It either looks really tame to you, or it looks completely insane, depending on, you know, what you games used to play as a kid. This is absolutely insane. I mean, look at this. There's starships with faces shooting pellets out of their noses. But yeah. Basically, by the way, those are supposed to be tanks, and this is supposed to be like the ground, and the ocean, and everything. You had to use your imagination a little bit with this game. So, the enemies in this game are giant tiles. I forgot about that. We weren't supposed to see this yet! We're too far into the game! Okay, basically, there are the ring things that look like donuts. They rarely shoot you, but they can shoot you. Then there are those ships that look like faces. They will always shoot you. There are those, spherical things on the ground. They will shoot you, and I think they're the only ground ones that will shoot you. There's a different button. Damn. There's a different button to shoot the ones on the ground, or to shoot the ones in the air. So it's like you have to sort of go back and forth and try to work out what you're doing. These tiles we're seeing here, by the way, you can't shoot them. This is actually already level 3 of the game, by the way. How far are we in? 3 minutes? Okay. I only ever made it to level 4 of this game, and I couldn't tell you for the life of me, seeing as how there's no information really on the NES port, if there's level 5. And in this video, you're going to see exactly the point where I couldn't get to as a kid, and yes, I still couldn't pass it now as an adult. So, yay. To be fair, I am using, you know, an emulator, so there's a bit of, yeah, iffiness on the controls. Well, that was level 3. Let's start over and go back to level 1 here. By the way, if you go back to the start of the video, I like the Atari look of, like, the, flashing behind the Xevious. That's what also sort of indicates to me that this was ported by Atari. Well, not ported, but made by, whatever. Atari was involved in this somehow because of, you know, the flashing there. So, by the way, this is level 1 of the game, I should mention, which is constantly, changing. It's actually getting harder every time I play it. I don't remember that in the game I had, but there are 3 different versions. There's, like, a European version, and then there's an American version, and then there's a 3rd version. I'm playing the 3rd version. This was the non-specified version. I didn't want to go with any regional, specificity, because I don't know if the NES goes by today's standards, where Australia and Oceania really just get mixed in with Europe most of the time. Also, thanks Norton, you asshole. Please go away. Cheers. Yeah, so I didn't want to go with the Europe one. Obviously, wasn't going to go with the America one, because that's not what I was playing. I wasn't playing the American version. I was playing on a PAL, or it's it a Mattel? It's a Mattel version of the Nintendo I played on. I had to actually look at it. So yeah, it was bundled in with like the British gaming as well at the time. So I got this version, which plays a bit weirder. It doesn't play straightforward. Level 1 seems to have varying levels of difficulty. Speaking of levels, I think we're on level 2 soon. Not if we keep playing like that. Now this game, you have to go through the entire game on only 3 lives. Whoa! Okay, wasn't expecting those guys. That rarely happens. You rarely see the face guys that quickly. Usually you have to get across the first ocean in order to see those guys. But yes, you only get 3 lives in this game. I don't think there's an opportunity to get more lives. If there is, someone tell me. I've forgotten. It's been a long time and I didn't get any while I was playing through this one for the recording. And that's basically what you have for the whole game. And there are bullets shooting everywhere, and it gets insane. Level 4, I'm going to show you exactly why I couldn't pass level 4. It's absolutely, like, mind-boggling and insane. Like, how do you dodge this? You need, like, 50 fingers. So, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what those are. I think they're boomerangs. They're weird shot things. They only come up specific times. Anyway, I'm going to just skip to level 3, because we've seen level 1 way too much. And video editing magic. Oh, here we are on level 4. No, this is level 2. Sorry. Level 2. Don't get me. Yeah. Okay, this is level 2. Basically now there are tanks moving across the landscape, as well as the stationary ones still. Not a lot of ones that won't shoot you anymore. Even the rings now are starting to shoot you more and more often. Well, here they're not, because they want to make sure that I don't prove my point. Can I get all these in one shot? No. Okay, no. Definitely not. Didn't get any of them in any shot. Now, this was really hard to do. I'd always try and get both of these, but I'd always miss the second one. You need timing on that one. You need to be really far up on the screen to start with it to start anyway. Elusive tank. Okay, so here's the second boss. At the end of the level there are these little bosses. As I'm showing here, 3 of the 4 of them, completely optional. You can just skip right past them. If you can avoid the bullets, that is. Now don't worry, I'm actually going to show what happens when you actually beat one of these bosses. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just going to be zooming past them all. I tried to shoot the bosses, but the screen is still scrolling, so you can't just stay there and hit them. It's not like a fight or flight response, it's like the screen is still scrolling. So even if you want to fight them, you've got like 10 seconds, and then it's off again. So boss battles only take like 10 seconds, except the last one, which we're going to get to. Although if you play like I do, then the final boss is only going to take like 10 seconds before you're dead anyway, so what's it matter? Heading over to the Wikipedia page while this is going on. Now this is for the arcade game, because I couldn't find the NES one. Xevious is a vertical, scrolling shooter arcade game that was released by Namco in 1983. However, it was copyrighted a year prior. I'm not going to say what hardware it runs on, because that's the Atari version. The game was manufactured and distributed by Atari, and that's what happens when you beat a boss. You get that cool little diddle-diddle-diddle. I thought it was cool. Now, despite what you're seeing on screen, there actually is a story to this game, and since I'm a narrator, I'm going to tell you the story. Xevious tells the story of the fight between humankind and the biocomputer GAMP, G-A-M-P, which controls the alien forces of the planet Xevious. As the sci-fi cliche dictates, it turns out that the Xevious inhabitants, Xevious, not Xevious, are originally from Earth, and GAMP, General Artificial Matrix Producer, is the product of an ancient civilization that prospered on Earth 100,000 years ago. During this golden age, the GAMPs were human clones used in heavy labor, until they rebelled against their own creators in order to survive the upcoming Ice Age. They planned to leave Earth and migrate in search for a new homeland. They finally selected 7 planets that were likely suitable to human life. Right before the departure, a group of humans rebelled and decided to stay on Earth anyway. It is here that thousands years after leading... it is from here that thousand years after the leaving of GAMPs... Oh god, final boss! Now's the final boss. Thanks for coming out. That the brave pilot Moo and his android companion Eve decide to travel to Xevious literally the 4th planet, to avoid Galacticon. Galaga, maybe? They will not receive a warm welcome from their ancestors, though. Captured and imprisoned, they discovered that the Xevians were actually planning a massive comeback on the Earth. Fast forward to our days. All above the Earth's surface, near the ancient civilizations. Final boss! Oh god! Oh god! Damn it! Oh, well, I'm just gonna finish the story. That was that. Oh, that's the final boss, by the way. I could never beat him as a kid. Still can't beat him to this day. He's crazy. Anyway, giant artifacts suddenly emerge from the soil and activate. They are the Soul Towers, buried underground and inactive for eons, now responding to the Gamp's orders. The invasion has begun. It is now that with perfect timing, Moo, Eve, and Myhovitha, what a name, a Xevian who opposes the Gamp's regime and freed our duo from imprisoning, are back on Earth, on their Solavu ship, this reads like a bad fanfiction, and are ready to fight the Gamp's army. Meanwhile, archaeologist Susan Meyer and Akira Sayaka discovered that the Nazca lines could be hiding an ancient weapon that may be used to counteract Gamp's army. And that weapon is the one that absolutely obliterated me in the video. So that's the story, I think. Holy crap. What? What? Just wow. Go on the Wikipedia page, read it for yourself. Wow. That is an interesting story. That's definitely not a boring story. It's okay, sort of story. That was, anyway, we're way past when we were supposed to finish. That was BrightNES Episode 2, Xevious, the NES port. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope, I hope you have a great day, whatever. Please tell me in the comments if you thought this game looked good, if it looked shit, if you've ever played this game, if you played the arcade game, please tell me. If you've ever gone past this final boss here, please tell me, let me know. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video of BrightNES as I knock over my microphone stand. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.